Today we're going to talk about revisiting our argument paragraphs from before break. Before break, we were focusing on regifting, whether it was okay or not okay to do. You guys looked at two different articles. One was the yes side of the argument that said it was okay to do because it helped the environment, it was cost effective, and it can make someone happy. Now, that side of the argument had good details that had facts and evidence that pointed to actual proven information about how if you were to regift, you would be helping to avoid the millions of waste of ton that happens during the holiday season because of giving gifts to people. It was also proven that the average person spends $882 on gifts during the holiday season. So those were two pieces of evidence of facts that were actually proven, factual evidence, that the person used in their argument to help assist in making their claim and proving their point. Now, their third piece of evidence was just that it makes somebody else happy giving them a gift. If you don't particularly like that gift, giving it away to somebody who might. Now, that one was an anecdotal piece of evidence, and it's not as strong as the factual evidence. The opposite side of the argument was no, regifting is not okay to do, and the three reasons were it's hurtful, it's dishonest, and it's inconsiderate. Now, the facts in that side of the argument were very few. If at all, the really only outside source they used was the Emily Post Etiquette site, which etiquette is how you behave and how you should act. And it wasn't necessarily proven factual information like numbers and data and statistics. So which side of the argument was stronger? I know you have opinions about whether or not you think it's okay to regift or not regift. But based on the two pieces of the two articles that we read together, which one points to the stronger evidence? Like, which one, based on those two articles, should we actually believe? And if we're going solely based on those two articles and the facts and information presented, it would make the most sense to agree with the regifting is okay option, only because it had more factual-based information that went along with it. Now, yeah, you can have an opinion that it's not okay, but what does the evidence point to? So we're going to set that one aside because the holidays are over now, and we're not going to really talk about regifting like we were previously. And we're going to think about a different type of argument. You are each going to get a new paper about the argument paragraph. We have a topic that is selected for you. Today our goal is just to work on making a debatable claim and introducing the information and maybe coming up with a reason that you're going to include. So the first thing that you're going to do is obviously put your name and hour on the paper. The topic is what is more healthy, or you could think what is better as well, coffee or tea. Now, if you've never had either of them, you're going to have to go solely based on what the evidence is telling you. If you have had them, you can tie in your personal experience, but we're going to look at facts and our own personal experiences. So you need to decide, which one do you think is better? Which one is healthier? Which one wins in a competition against each other? Coffee or tea? So the first thing you need to do is determine in this spot right here which one you are going to argue as being better. So I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to think along the lines of water. So I'm going to argue that water is the best option. And the only reason I'm doing water is because you guys aren't. So that way you can't copy me exactly. So I would put in my spot that water is the best option to drink instead of coffee or tea. You guys don't get to add any other options. You get coffee or tea. When I go to write an introduction, when I'm thinking about a debatable claim is something that can be argued. You can't say, everyone has to drink water. Because really, everyone really does have to drink water to survive. You need water. However, you could say, to make it debatable, water is better cold than warm. That creates a debate because not everyone agrees or wants to drink cold water. Some people really like drinking lukewarm water or room temperature water, and they think that cold, ice cold water is not as good for you. So in order to make it debatable, people have to not agree with what you're saying. So I might say water is the best option to drink because it's the healthiest. See how I added a because in there? So I said water is the best option to drink. That's kind of my opinion. And then I give a reason because it's the healthiest. So I've turned an idea or a topic into a debatable claim because not everyone's going to agree with me that water is the best option. So as I'm focusing on my introduction, now that I have my debatable claim, my argument right here, I'm going to put water is the best option to drink because it's the healthiest. Down here, I'm going to think about a hook. How can I hook my reader? A hook could be a question, it could be a statement, it could be a fun fact about a startling statistic, like how many gallons of water people drink each year. It could be an anecdotal story about a time when I was drinking water. Anything to pull my reader in and get them to want to drink water or hear what I have to say about why water is the best option. My next checkbox is to provide background information on my topic and claim. So I might say something about some important facts about why people should drink water just to get you into and pull you in a little bit more, and then I'll tell more about that later on in the rest of the paragraph. When you provide background information, you're telling your reader why it's important to be reading what they are. And then finally, it says directly state your claim and the main points. This ties back to our paragraph writing strategies from the beginning of the year. Remember general, cluing, and specific topic sentences? You're going to do that here. So you decide, are you going to write a general topic sentence, a cluing topic sentence, or a specific topic sentence? If I say I'm going to write a general topic sentence, I might just say water is great to drink. It's basic. I don't give you any information about why it's great to drink. I just tell you it's great to drink. If I wanted to use a cluing sentence, I would say water is great for many reasons because I have that clue word of many inserted right into my statement. If I want to use a specific topic sentence, I would list the reasons why water is great to drink. I might say water is great to drink because it helps your energy, it helps your health, it helps your bones. Those are 3 statements that I can back up later in my paragraph. Now, am I going to write about those 3 things? Not necessarily. I'm just giving you an example. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm actually going to grab a pen. So hold on just one moment. I'm going to split my first box into 2 sections. So see how I drew a line right down the middle here? I want to have 2 sections because for my first piece of evidence, I'm going to use anecdotal evidence. So I'm going to have my reason on one side, and I'm going to have my explanation on the other. So I want you to actually write reason and explain. Because this way, it's teaching you that you have 2 pieces to this puzzle of explaining and proving your point about why you think coffee or tea is best. So if I'm putting my reason 1 here, I got to remember that I need to use a transition word to introduce my reason. So I might say something like, first, water is great option to drink. Because it has no calories. Okay? So I have this written in my side of the box. First, water is a great option to drink because it has no calories. We're looking at a health standpoint as far as sugar goes and whatnot. Now, when I go over here to this explain section, I need to find a fact that supports that. And if for this case, I need an anecdotal fact. Anecdotal means personal experience. So I need to think about what have I done or experienced or heard, or who could I talk to that I actually know who could help me with this information. So I'm going to think back to my sports playing days and the fact that water was one of the best options to drink when you're playing sports to rehydrate. I played tennis, and I played tennis during the summer, actually at all times of the year, but mainly in the summer when it was pretty intense heat outside. I had to drink water constantly prior to playing, while I was playing, and after I was playing in order to stay hydrated. So I could use that personal experience I have about drinking water to play into proving my point. So for example, my brother also played tennis, and maybe he wasn't as good about drinking water as I was. And there was one time where he did cramp up on the tennis courts because he was dehydrated. He didn't have enough water in his system. And so his legs cramped up and he had to stop and rest for a while, which you really can't do in tennis because you don't really get timeouts unless you call a medical timeout. So it can count against you when you're doing that kind of thing. Not only is it unhealthy, but it could hurt you in the long run. Okay? So once I have my reason and my fact to go with it, which if it's anecdotal, it's something that I've actually experienced or heard about myself, not something I found online, then I have to explain why it's important. Why did I choose to use this in my argument? Because if you can't explain why it's important, you shouldn't be using it in your argument because the whole point is to win the argument. And so I might say, this is important because, and explain what it shows. Tie it back to the argument that you're making. While you're working today, the big point, the big takeaway is you decide what is better, coffee or tea. You create your debatable claim, and you get started thinking about your own personal experience in relation to coffee and tea. What have you seen, or what have you heard, or who could you talk to that could give you more information about those specific areas? Okay. While you're working, raise your hand. I will come around and help you. As soon as you're done listening to me, then you can turn over to music while you work. But I shouldn't see you distracted. The music is not getting in the way of your work. And I do not want to hear the music. Okay? If you have any questions, again, raise your hand and ask, and I will get to you.